Congratulations to all the Bitcoin holders, because today you can see the news, Bitcoin hits another all-time high, right? So even though I don't have direct exposure to Bitcoin, I do have investments in Bitcoin treasury companies, right? So in this video, we're going to be comparing Bitcoin treasury companies versus Bitcoin, right? And I just want to start off taking a look at the price action, right? Because you can see that Bitcoin is up 5.6%, nearly 6% today, while Metaplanet stock is only up 2.89%, right? So nearly doubling the performance, right? And some people might start to ask, okay, why are you holding Metaplanet stock, which you're overpaying for the MNAV? And also when Bitcoin goes up, Metaplanet stock is going up less than Bitcoin, right? So I first want to take a look at the good properties, the big differences between Metaplanet stock and also Bitcoin, right? And then we do a price comparison afterwards, right? So when we take a look at Bitcoin, obviously it's a bearer asset, right? And these two go hand in hand, right? Because I'm only talking about the property itself, right? This is not really a Bitcoin video where I'm gonna explain why Bitcoin is good, why you can do this with Bitcoin, why Bitcoin is better than gold, none of that, right? But basically, these two are the main features of Bitcoin, right? So because it's a bearer asset, it allows you to have self-custody, right? And obviously, there are both upsides and downsides to self-custody, right? Because if you let someone else custody your assets, maybe they go bankrupt or they rob you or whatever it is. But on the flip side, when you self-custody things, you can be robbed as well, right? And then the other thing is you might accidentally send your Bitcoin to the wrong address. So these are the two, I think, main problems that people have found, right? Or you lose your keys, right? Because you have seen all these articles of this UK man trying to dig out a landfill because he threw away his hard drive with 700 million worth of Bitcoin inside, right? And then lastly, the main difference between Metaplanet and Bitcoin, obviously, 1 BTC equals 1 BTC, right? And when we take a look at Metaplanet stock, okay, the first point is most people are in the Bitcoin treasury stocks because they have a potential to acquire more Bitcoin, right? Not just sit in one Bitcoin to one Bitcoin, right? Because if you have one Bitcoin, it's never going up, right? It's just staying at one Bitcoin forever. The price itself can go up, but the amount of Bitcoin you hold will never go up, right? So the next thing is there's a potential to outperform Bitcoin, right? So the third and fourth things are actually negative things. The third thing is no self-custody, right? Which is what you have to give up in order for them to manage the treasury on your behalf, right? And also they have a publicly listed company so they can raise more capital and buy more Bitcoin, right? If you're trying to understand how all these Bitcoin treasury companies work, maybe take a look at my older videos. I think I have a video that I'll tag on the top right, which is like Metaplanet is a compounding machine or something like that, right? And this, obviously, there is upside and downside, right? Because they might be the one sending to the wrong address, or they might be the one getting robbed, right? Or they might be the one robbing you, potentially. So obviously, we have to take a look at all the risks and all that in order for us to really understand what best fits us for our personal situation, right? So I should add one last bullet point to this because it can actually be frozen, right? So your brokerage account, everything can be frozen, while BTC itself actually cannot be frozen, right? So the last 2 points are obviously credit management can be mismanaged, right? Let's say management does something that you don't agree with, maybe it can tank the stock, and then you're left holding the bag because you have losses or whatever it is, right? And then obviously I just mentioned that management can be the one robbing you, right? If you think this cannot happen, you have not been in crypto long enough, right? Because there have been so many exchanges that go bust because their founders just run off with the Bitcoin, or someone gets hacked or something like that, right? So this is obviously a risk when you buy all these Bitcoin treasury companies as well. Specifically in this case, obviously we're talking about Metaplanet, but it's a risk you run with every Bitcoin treasury company, right? And then lastly, the funds can be frozen, right? Because if your bank says, okay, this guy is doing something shady, we don't like what he's doing, because all your brokerage accounts still have to go into bank accounts. First, your bank accounts can be frozen. Second, your brokerage accounts can be frozen, right? If they suspect you of any crimes or anything, or even if there's some lawsuits or something against you, right? So what I can say from Bitcoin and also Metaplanet, okay, what's the biggest difference? I think this, right, can be frozen, right? This is the biggest difference, right? Because if you're someone with 100 million or something, you want to keep like 10 million safe somewhere, you don't want it to be frozen anytime, so you make sure you have some liquid money at all times, right? Then Bitcoin is actually the right solution for you. But I think most of us will not have 100 million. Most of us aren't multi-millionaires, right? So in this case, we actually look to outperform BTC and also acquire more BTC in the form of this Bitcoin treasury companies, right? Because what can potentially happen is you think Metaplanet is the best option right now. Then when you have 10 million of Metaplanet stock, then you take 1 million and then you transfer it to Bitcoin because you say, okay, this 1 million is like my savings money, right? Because if everything goes to shit, if Metaplanet gets hacked, if my banks freeze my money, I still have money somewhere, right? So that's actually a big issue for a lot of like these rich and famous people, right? Because you think how do you think they win the cases? You think they're gonna beat you lawyer to lawyer because you have the best lawyers, they have the best lawyers. So what the government tends to do is they freeze your assets and then they make you essentially plead guilty or maybe have a deal with them, right? Because you are just so starved for resources. Okay, I don't have money. My lawyer is not getting paid. My wife is nagging me, every day. I don't have water. I don't have electricity. How can you live like that? So if you don't think it can happen to you, it can happen to anyone, right? Look at Donald Trump, front runner for the Republican Party at the time, and then they just freeze his bank accounts, take back loans, we don't want to give you loan anymore, your building has a 300 million mortgage, not our problem. So that is why Donald Trump is leaning so much into crypto right now, right? So he has seen how corrupt the system is, right? And some people might say, I'm not Donald Trump, I'm not anyone important, why would they do this to me, right? So what if tomorrow your government gets taken over by some revolution or there's a change in politicians and they say, you know what, we have capital controls on this country now. You can't take out more than 10,000 US dollars. Or they say, oh, you missed some taxes here, back in, 5 years ago, you missed some taxes. So now we have to freeze all your bank accounts. So then what are you going to do? Are you just not going to fight the legal case, let them take all your assets? Or are you at least having some assets that you can maybe leave the country with, or, start over fresh with, or mount your legal defense, right? That's the point I'm trying to make here. So lastly, I want to take a look at the price performance comparison, right? If we take a look at Bitcoin versus this Metaplanet, right? So if we take a look on a 1 year time frame, right, Bitcoin is up 100%, while Metaplanet stock is up 1,700%, right? So to everyone that is saying that, oh, this Metaplanet is only up 3% when Bitcoin is up 6%, I urge you to zoom out, right? Because there are bigger things at play, right? So I have already run through all the risk and reward that can potentially happen with Metaplanet stock as well as Bitcoin, right? You have to understand it's a different risk that you are taking, right? It's not always the same, and it's not always the asset that's best for you is the best for other people, right? So lastly, I think everyone wants to know, okay, since you've bought Metaplanet stock, are you outperforming Bitcoin? Because only real thing that matters to us is performance and where we can perform the best, right? And the short answer is yes, right? Because if we take a look at this white line here, this is my cost basis, and from here to here, I think I'm up around 106% today. So compared to Bitcoin, even since the April lows, right? And I didn't buy this since the April lows, right? I bought this roughly here, right? Late May, right? So even since the Bitcoin low, Bitcoin is not even up 100%, right? What if we use the same time frame for Metaplanet stock, right? Which is this April 10 till today, right? It's still up a staggering 400%, right? Outperforming Bitcoin by nearly 5x, right? So you can see when there are new ideas, you have to really understand the new ideas and think for yourself whether it makes sense or not, right? Because I've just walked you through why some people, even though they know that Metaplanet can outperform Bitcoin, potentially, right, it can also underperform, right, in the other case. So even though they see all this evidence, they will still say, okay, I'm more comfortable holding Bitcoin, because they might have other personal reasons, right? They might not want to get their accounts frozen and things like that, right? So a quick update, because I didn't do a Metaplanet Monday video. Metaplanet bought another 2,205 BTC, right? So obviously, even if the stock goes sideways or if BTC goes sideways, right, Metaplanet will be here accumulating Bitcoin, right? And that's the main reason why I purchased Metaplanet stock rather than Bitcoin itself, right? So it doesn't matter what market it is, bear market, bull market, kangaroo market, it doesn't matter, right? Metaplanet will just continue buying BTC as long as the credit markets allow them to, right? So yeah, that's about all I wanted to share in this video. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button. And if you have any friends that will enjoy this, do help me share it with them. With that being said, have a fantastic day and peace out.